Welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining me in my home again today. If you've been watching some of these videos over weeks and months, you're spending a lot of time in my home, which is a great joy for me because over the past over 40 years or so of ministering among the various nations of the world, I've not spent a great deal of time in my home. So welcome. God bless you. Hope you're having a great day. I love you. As I often mention in these broadcasts and these videos, I'm a unique, rare kind of guy that's perfectly confident, perfectly comfortable behind the camera, simply because I can perceive your presence there watching. It sounds odd, I know, but I can, if I close my eyes, I think I could actually begin to see some of your faces. I certainly can feel you. And sometimes when I begin like this, sometimes I have a message, something on my heart I want to bring. Other times, actually, I just begin speaking to you because I know you're there. I begin speaking to you, and something, that river of life begins to flow. And so, anyway, in my own life, and with Marty, my wife, of over 50 years, I've had folks, thankfully, all along in my life, important people that Jesus has brought into my life, and now at this time, at my age now, people that were my age. I hope I'm not just stuttering here, but people that were my age when I was in my 20s and my 30s and my 40s. Okay, so they were a generation older than me. They were the ones that encouraged me the most, because when I recognized a man or woman of God that had walked with Jesus, many of them began even before I was born. They were the ones that impacted me the most because of their experience, because of the depth of dedication and commitment and experience. There was really something very, very powerful and very tangible about their life that encouraged me so much and gave me hope. Because when I was in my 30s, I could not even imagine being in my 70s, and when I was in my 40s, I could not even imagine approaching my 80s. So, and maybe that's where you are today. But let me give you some good news and some maybe not some good news. One day, your hair will be gray. One day if you keep your hair. But anyway, I've always been encouraged and really impacted by seasoned people. One of those men was a man well known in the U.S., greatly esteemed as a prophet, a true prophet, actually almost a mystic. I mean, difficult to describe, but a very, very seasoned, highly respected prophetic voice that spoke into major leaders, actually all the way up into the White House. I mean, every strata of religion and politics, and he was that voice. And he told me a story, and I had a privilege of visiting in his home numbers of times, and he told me a story about when he was a younger man, in his early 50s. And his health had not been good, and ultimately he died, passed away. He died, and after in his death experience, he was taken. He went. Angels came, got him, took him into heaven. You know, I've heard, you know, stories, and you've heard stories, maybe read stories about that, and to me, some of them are questionable, but this guy I knew. I knew him, and he said, so he was taken there, and he encountered Jesus, and Jesus came to him, talked to him, he called him by his name, and he asked him this question. He said, did you learn to love? Did you learn to love? Well, if Jesus has ever asked you a question, he doesn't ask you because he's seeking an answer. He knows the answer. He wants you to know the answer. So when he asked my friend, he said, did you learn to love? Well, the question revealed the obvious. The obvious answer was, well, no. I didn't learn to love. I learned to minister. I learned to prophesy. You know, I learned this, but no, I didn't learn to love. And Jesus said, well, then I'm going to bless you. I'm not going to leave you here. I'm going to send you back. I'm going to send you back to your body. I'm going to send you back to the earth with this assignment. When you come back here again, you will have learned to love. Well, that had a major impact upon my life. Because as this seasoned, genuine, humble, honest man of God was telling me that story, I was kind of living that in my life, and it provoked me. It provoked me seriously, and I thought, well, how would I answer that question? And I had to come to the conclusion I would answer it exactly the same way. I've learned to travel. I've learned to minister. I've learned to preach. I've learned to pray. I've learned to teach. You know, and the list goes on and on. But somehow, in my life, somehow, I'd never asked myself that question. Have I learned to love? And that started me on a process of thinking. When I realized that love and loving people was something that we need to learn to do. Somehow I'd never thought like that. I'd never thought in that way, and I guess I had assumed that to love people is kind of instinctive, or automatic, or comes with the package. I'd actually never really thought about how had I learned to love people. And I don't want to belabor this, but I want to communicate to you, it had a terrific impact in my life. I thought, okay, then I have spent decades learning other things. What about spending some time learning to love? And I thought about that, and so I I made a decision. Now, you know, in these different videos, different things, I don't generally talk about myself. I more want to speak to you and minister to something into you, but I just feel it's important today to share this testimony. because as I've already said, one of the people that impacted my life the most impacted me in this way, that when he encountered Jesus, Jesus asked him, "Did you learn to love?" And I told you that whole story, and it impacted me. And I thought, well, how do I do that? How do I learn to love? I didn't know I had to learn. So, but then I engaged with Jesus, and I tell you, Jesus is very precious in my life, very real in my life, and we converse, you know, like brothers, you know, like friends, and he sometimes he's funny with me, but I said, well, how do I learn to love, Jesus? He said, oh, it's easy. You have to practice. You get good at anything by practicing. And he said, so I'm going to bless you. I said, oh, wonderful. What are you going to do? And he said, well, I'm going to put a lot of unlovely people in your life. so I'm going to give you a lot of opportunity to practice loving people. And I said, oh, well, thanks, I guess. I said, is there any other way? And he said, there's no other way. There's no other way. He said, Dan, to learn to love, you have to be deliberate. And you have to recognize the opportunity. You have to recognize every opportunity and every unlovely person is your opportunity to learn. So I started on my journey. I confess to you, I've not graduated from that school yet, but I've learned, and I'm learning, and that's really now the object of my life. I want to learn. I want to love people, because 1 Corinthians chapter 13, and that's where I'd planned to start today, but I'm obviously not going to get there. But I'll leave that chapter with you. Between in 1 Corinthians, between the 1 Corinthians chapter 12 and 1 Corinthians chapter 14 is 1 Corinthians chapter 13, which is called the love chapter. And it actually gives a description. Love is patient, kind, gentle, doesn't keep any written record of wrongs that people have done to you, you know, and that sort of thing. And then it says this, so powerful. It says love never fails. Okay. It says that prophecies, ministries, many different endeavors, many of the things that we attempt in our life will fail. Some spiritual things will fail. Some dreams will fail. Many things will, but love never fails. Now, I knew that verse, I mean, as you probably do, but somehow I thought, okay, if I want to live a fail-safe life, all right, if I want everything that I do to succeed, now I know the key. Love people, love truth, love reality, love mercy, you know, love kindness. So that then becomes my guarantee. And my friend, this is a good word for you today. You hear all the birds sing. Can you hear them? I'm hearing the birds, and the trees are rejoicing. They love it. All heaven loves. All heaven is rejoicing. I don't know if you could hear that or not. Doesn't matter. But love. Let me tell you. What you're doing right now, whatever your situation is right now, let me encourage you. Let me ask you the question. Have you learned to love? And if the answer is not yet, then you keep practicing. All right? Thanks for letting me in your life today. Love you so much. God bless you big.